Hi folks, it's John Nizman from lastchanceautorestore.com. I'd like to share with you another one of the features that we do here. Our specialty at Last Chance Auto Restore is ground-up restorations. Some of the shops that advertise ground-up restorations, they don't do engines, or they don't do body and paint or interior or that sort of thing. So they'll basically disassemble the vehicle and then they sublet all the different parts of the build out and then reassemble the car. We take great pride in trying to do as much as we can in-house at our facility here at Last Chance. So we're standing beside an engine, and this one is a 390 FE motor. It's a Ford engine, and we do a lot of this kind of stuff in terms of building. So we do stock engines, we do a lot of air-cooled motors, we do a lot of big block and small block in terms of engines, and whether you want to go resto mod style or more authentic. So I'll just share with you some of the engines that we do here at lastchanceautorestore.com. So basically we start with a decent running engine. We'll perform a compression test on it. We'll gauge the bearings to see what kind of overall condition the vehicle is in, or the motor is in, before we decide to rebuild it. We'll completely strip the motor down here, once again in-house, and then any machining that requires to be done, we'll take the block, heads, and that sort of thing out to get machine work done at the machine shop, and then we'll do the total reassembly, the detail work. So this is a typical build that we do here at Last Chance. So we started, as I mentioned, with a 390 big block FE motor, and then we upgraded with a lot of nice Edelbrock stuff. In terms of the heads, this engine is the Edelbrock Performer RPM. Full aluminum head style. We've got the nice accent with the Edelbrock aluminum high-rise valve covers with high polish. And then we haven't got this completely assembled yet, but you see the attention to detail in terms of the roller rockers, heavy-duty springs. In this one we have the high-polished Edelbrock intake. We've upgraded to a GM style HEI distributor to make it a happier engine. We like the Edelbrock air cleaners, and then this engine obviously has a brand new carburetor. This is designed specifically for the build of this motor. It's supplied by Quick Fuel, and this is their DFT series. So this carburetor is married up specifically to this engine based on the camshaft, the pistons, the size of the valves and heads, and so on. So we basically take this original engine, we work a lot of the mathematics out in terms of how much horsepower and how many foot-pounds of torque we'd like to get with this engine, and then we make a material list, and then we want to make sure that all of the components work happily with each other. So we want to make sure that we get the proper CFM for the carburetor, we get the proper lift on the cam, we get a nice intake that's going to correspond with everything correctly, and then things like valves and roller rockers for less resistance, and then things like ceramic headers. So this is just one of the many engines that we do here at Last Chance Auto Restore. This is just one of them, being a big block Ford motor. And what I'd like to do from here is we'll show you a couple of other engines that we're working on. You can see here, if you come around this side, this first engine that you have here, this came out of a 56 Chevrolet Bel Air. It's a running engine. This is normally the kind of stuff that we see, or how we receive the motors when they come here. So this was a running engine that ran decent, and we performed a compression test, and it's ready to be disassembled, degreased, and sent to a machine shop. So from here, we're just going to cut away, and I'd like to show you this same engine restored. Okay, so here we are with the same 235 six-cylinder engine, only this one now is showing totally rebuilt. So you can see we've degreased the engine. It went to the machine shop. All of the machining was done, and then we painted it the proper blue for this 56 Bel Air. And then attention to detail, we have the proper rebuilt fuel pump distributor, which we're upgrading it to, there's going to be electronic instead of having points. We're going to have the flamethrower, which is not original in terms of a stronger voltage coil. But you'll see we have the original decal Blue Flame 140. on the original valve cover that we've sanded and painted. It's just really dusty here at the shop. You can see the Chevrolet insignia. We have the proper oil cap with the proper label that they had in 1956. So this is the kind of detail that we like to do. You'll notice that all of the components on the engine have been painted separately. So on this 235 engine, which is very similar to the 216, there's a cork gasket that goes between the side cover and the block. And then you can see the head gasket and then also the valve cover gasket. So you can see all of the hardware has been cleaned and redone. All the brackets have been redone and painted correctly. We have not painted any of the fittings. We have the fittings as original. And then we'll obviously take these Napa labels off of the hoses once we have it fitted on. As you come around to the side, you'll notice we've sandblasted and detailed the pulley. Once again, it's really dusty, but it's all factory correct looking in terms of the water pump pulley, the fan, the harmonic balancer, and so on. And then as you come along this side, the carburetor's been rebuilt. We have just a Ziploc cover on it right now. You can see the intake and exhaust manifolds have been redone. So we've media blasted and painted it the correct colors. And then we have the auxiliary oil filter, which was an option in 1956, once again really dusty, and then we'll have the proper decal, the GMAC Delco decal that will go on here. And then if you come back around that side, you'll see attached to the back of the engine is the factory correct or factory original 3 on the tree transmission, and we've completely gone through that. So we've taken it apart. We have machined the flywheel, and then we have a new clutch pressure plate release bearing. Seals have been replaced both front and rear. We've got new transmission mounts, and then the inspection cover, which is painted correct with the black, and all the hardware has been done. So this is just another version or how we do engines here at Last Chance Auto Restore. So this is a 235 original 56 Chevrolet Bel Air. So from here, I'd like to share with you another engine. So here's another engine that we have here at lastchanceautorestore.com. So this is a 1981 Toyota Land Cruiser, quite a rare vehicle, and we're doing kind of a resto mod on this particular unit. And this has a very rare engine. It's called the 3B. And this 3B engine was only made for Canada and for Australia. It's a 4-cylinder diesel engine. These are known for being pretty much bulletproof, but gutless in terms of power. So what we have here is a turbo version. So there's a turbocharger that's been added to this 3B diesel 4-cylinder engine. So we're still in the process of dry fitting everything on and getting ready to start this engine. But this is another engine that we've been working on here at Last Chance Auto Restore, is a 3B 4-cylinder turbo diesel. It's in an 81 Land Cruiser. I'd like to show you another engine we're working on. So here's another engine that we're tweaking here at Last Chance Auto Restore, and this is a 1963 split window Corvette. So the engine in this particular vehicle is quite rare. It's a fuel injection motor. So this fuel injected 327, because of it being fuel injection, this 327 motor, as you can see on the valve cover, is rated for 360 horsepower. So this vehicle was obtained from for a customer, and it's here getting the service and safety done, and there's been quite a bit of detail work that we've done to this engine. The top lid of the fuel injection, the gasket was leaking. There's some detailed things that we've done in terms of replacing the water pump, proper brackets, hoses, and the proper clamps. You'll notice the valve cover, they've been cleaned and they have the proper cast look. Just below the valve cover, just to the side of it, the exhaust manifolds have been media blasted, and they've been treated with a special high heat manifold paint, and it's a cast iron finish. So this is another thing that we do here at Last Chance Auto Restore in terms of engines, is enhancing or tweaking what already exists. So this is a 327 in a 63 Corvette, and we'll just look at another engine that we're working on. So here we are with a 68 Volkswagen Beetle convertible. You can see the engine that we have here, this air-cooled 1600cc, looks pretty much stock in terms of appearance. So this engine, once again, was completely taken down, degreased, rebuilt. The valves were sent out, or the heads, I'm sorry, were sent out, and we redid the valves, had them machined, and then reassembled the engine. So we have pretty much stock appearance. The distributor and the coil we've upgraded, so instead of having points, it's now electronic. The other appearance that's different is this pulley, and it's a balanced weighted pulley, which helps with the crankshaft in terms of its rotation to give it a little more powerful feel. So other than the pulley and the distributor and coil, this is basically a bone stock looking air-cooled 1600cc motor. So from here we'll go to another engine that we're working on. So here's another engine that we've enhanced or worked on at lastchanceautostore.com. We're looking at a 1957 Buick Special, and we've tweaked quite a bit in terms of the engine, but it also gives you an opportunity to see the type of detail work that we do, not only with the engine, but also the detail under the hood area. We'll share with you more of this build as it continues, but we're right in terms of speaking about engines right now. So this is a nail head, the original generation nail head V8, and you can see the engine was disassembled, everything was properly cleaned and detailed, and as the other engines that we've worked on, you'll notice that the gaskets are separate and all of the pieces of the engine were painted separately. So you'll notice the valve covers, the valve cover gasket, the cork gasket, the intake that's mated up, you can see the gaskets. So they're not painted over, everything has been done separately. So this is the kind of detail that we like to do with our engines. It is a stock looking nail head, but we've enhanced a few things. You'll see, once again, we have the proper looking radiator hoses, but period correct clamps. Things like all of our tubing and fittings, you'll see it's all new brass copper lines. All of the fittings have been cleaned and or polished or replaced. All of the hardware is all nice and clean. And then as you're looking around the engine, something that, some other nice touches that enhance the look of the engine is this air cleaner is an aftermarket air cleaner that was an option that this particular car did not come with. And to enhance the overall look, the client decided to go with the Batwing style air cleaner, which is correct for 1957. And then what we did to tie it all in, you'll notice along the back firewall, the cowling and the inner fenders have all been painted this nice teal color, and then we've made the air cleaner the same teal. So as you lift up the hood, you're not expecting to see that. Typically would be a black air cleaner, but our client wanted to tie in the exterior paint to the interior engine bay area. So you'll see things like the top of the radiator. This was all painted with an undercoating and some flat black paint. So we've completely cleaned and sanded that off. And once it's been cleaned, we see all the details. So I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you can see the R24 57B. This being a 57 vehicle, it was built the second month of 57, which is February, and that's what the B represents. You can see the Harrison logo, which Harrison was the main company that supplied General Motors radiators in 57, and on the far right hand side you can see the actual General Motors part number. So once we cleaned and polished this, then we applied about 3 or 4 coats of an automotive clear coat to protect that so it doesn't discolor. So not only do we do engines and ground-up restorations, but we want to tie everything in terms of the detail. So you'll see the hardware of the engine bay, all of the wiring along the back. Something that's really nice behind the air cleaner on the firewall is you'll notice the cowl tag. And the cowl tag had a bunch of overspray and undercoating on it. That was all cleaned and polished and then replaced with the proper rivets. And then the braking system, it's still standard brakes, but it used to be a single line that would run from the front brakes to the rear brakes. We wanted to keep it as authentic looking as possible, but we upgraded this to a dual master cylinder, so you have not only 2 channels, but you have braking at the front and separate to the rear. So if something were to happen later on down the road, this nice Buick still has as a way to apply the brakes, because they're 2 separate lines, and we use the new copper nickel that we get through our Napa supplier. So this is just another detail in terms of not only the engine, but underneath the hood that we do here at Last Chance. So I'd like to share with you one other engine. So this is the last engine I'd like to share with you today, and this particular engine is in one of the cars we're building. This is the Resto Mod 1968 Ford Mustang. So what we did is a transplant. Basically this engine is a 5-liter high output fuel injected motor. It's out of a 1988 Mustang GT. So there's been other people out there that have taken that series of engine and put it in this body style 67, 68 Mustang, but we wanted to take it one step further in terms of detail. So as you come closer underneath the hood, what we did is we took this 88 GT high output motor, completely disassembled and rebuilt this engine. As we rebuilt it, we wanted to enhance things. So for example, the engine block, the front cover, water pump, all of these parts were cleaned and painted separately. You can see the proper Felpro gaskets that were replaced. We wanted to kind of tie in the newer engine with the older look as much as possible. So you can see we have the older style radiator clamps with the newer engine. So we wanted to keep it as authentic looking as we could, but complement the two different generations. So this is kind of a big deal. Instead of doing the normal plenum intake, we went with a Edelbrock Performer RPM 2 intake. Now this is completely different. You can't buy it this way from Edelbrock. So it comes with this cast paint, which I believe is a baked on enamel. We wanted to give it a little bit different appearance. So what we did is we polished these spears with one of our tools and polishers to break it up so it has some accent. We used all stainless hardware, and then not only did we clean off the raised part of the Edelbrock Performer as we did this, but then we used a special paint to help make it pop, or to make it as a feature. You can see this look ties in with the valve covers that we have on the side. So we have the high-rise, high polished valve covers with the black Ford Racing insignia, and we wanted that to kind of tie in with the Edelbrock. So as you can notice underneath the hood, we don't want a lot of things going on, but we want everything to be a nice contrast. So we've got a red vehicle with the gloss black engine bay. We have a little bit of aluminum in terms of the radiator, the rad cap, the rad overflow. These are all upgraded aftermarket things with electric fan. So these are all nice features to have. Ceramic headers. So a lot of nice subtle little things that we've added. And then we have the aluminum hood hinges, which is going to be with a custom hood that we'll share later. It's a one-off hood that we had custom made. It's an air induction style hood. So this is another way that we do engines. So not only can we do like the bone stock air-cooled Volkswagen engine to look exactly period correct. You go from that to, say, a 235 Chevrolet engine. You saw what it looked like originally pulled out of the vehicle and then restored and rebuilt on the frame. And then you also look at performance things like the 390 big block, and then you look at the 57 Buick nail head, and then you go basically to the other side where we have a fuel injected motor, newer engine in an older style car, but it's tastefully done and lots of detail. So this will be a fun engine too, and we'll share more on this build too. But today I just wanted to share with you, we do engines, we do as much as we can in-house here at lastchanceautostore.com. So this kind of gives you some ideas on maybe your future build on what you'd like to do, because we can basically do virtually anything when it comes to engines. So I'm John at lastchanceautostore.com, and I thank you for watching.